Happy Tuesday, law nerds. It's a late afternoon coffee in Cursey Words. It's more like coffee and whatever you've got with you. I've got water, and then I actually grabbed a soda, which is rare for me. But I grabbed a soda because it's just been that kind of a day. We have a lot to talk about today. I'm a little bit scattered. We're not doing any big deep dives into anything today because I literally just can't. My brain is still scattered. We are at like 101,000 subscribers. I am still like falling like over my chair, off of my chair, out. I am still falling out. I am blown away. So today we are talking about something I don't normally talk about, Twitter, things that happened on Twitter, but it does relate to the Tati Westbrook KJ without a crystal ball lawsuit. So we're going to talk about that. I asked for an official statement from Tati Westbrook's camp, and I'm bringing that to you today. So we have an official statement from Saltsy with regard to that. And then I'm going to talk about a little bit about what I expect with regard to tomorrow's hearing for Josh Duggar. And then, of course, answering all of your questions. I know there will be a lot of them. Let me know in the chat if you want to hear Tati stuff first or Duggar stuff first. Let me know in the chat. We're going to roll. We've got a lot to cover and just a lot to chat about, law nerds. We've got a lot to chat about. It's an exciting... Hey there. If we haven't met yet, I'm Emily D. Baker, the badass lawyer and everyone's favorite legal commentator. I'm the host of The Emily Show, and I break down the legal shit behind the news and pop culture stories we all want to talk about. I have been a licensed attorney for over 15 years, but this is not legal advice. I should warn you, I'm a big fan of the Cursey Words. This channel is where the law nerds unite to talk about facts, not fuckery. You guys have said Tati first, Tati first, Tati first, Tati first, Tati first, Tati first, Tati first. I hear you. All right. Law nerds, we will talk about Tati first. That is an overwhelming majority of you who want to talk about Tati stuff, which is fine. By way of disclaimer, first, housekeeping. Second, disclaimer. Third, if you are in the replay crew, we are time-stamped down below. After this live ends, go hit the timestamp. Watch the shit you want to watch. Do not leave me a comment saying that I talk too much. This is long-form content. If you want to see me talk less, I do have a TikTok. They only go for a minute. There's also some YouTube shorts. I'm going to put together a shorts playlist for those of you who are like, I need it shorter. I'll put together a shorts playlist and you can see it shorter. But on the live streams, they're going to be long. It's also May the 4th today. So May the 4th be with you, all of my nerdy friends. Housekeeping. This week, we have the monthly members only live stream Thursday night at 7 p.m. It is not too late to join that if you're a channel member. I'm going to be reacting to my first YouTube video since we are almost 6 years on YouTube in June, and we just hit 100,000 subs, even though my channel got most active in the last 6 months. But, 5.5 years to 5K, and then 6 months from there to here. I'm also going to be talking about the Jeff Wittick stuff and doing some little clips of his videos. So the members only live stream is our place to chat, decompress, and talk about some stuff that might not strictly be legal that we talk about in the regular content of this channel, but to just give a deeper dive. So that's on what day is that? Thursday. You saw my brain stop. This is why we're not doing deep dives today. Tomorrow, I will be putting up a new video with regard to Erica Girardi. She is, the bankruptcy trustees are seeking to sue her, and they are looking to hire a legal commentator who has been giving a lot of information about the case on Twitter, and I've been asked a lot about that. So it looks like one of the trustees wants to hire Ron Richards to go after Erica Girardi's assets as it regards to that. So there's a whole episode of The Emily Show tomorrow, both on the podcast and here on the channel. So that'll be live for you. I'm not premiering it because if we need to do an extra show, if something wild happens at the Duggar Bond hearing, I don't want the mods to have to do both. I don't want to do both. Y'all don't want to do both. Generally, I will do a fast reacts tomorrow in Reels and YouTube Shorts. That is what I'm planning to do tomorrow. But if things are crazy, We might do an extra live. The thing is, here's the thing. Tomorrow is Dr. Badass's birthday. He would like nothing better than me not to be live on his birthday. It's also Cinco de Mayo. We have plans. So, he's literally opening my office door to say, yes, you're not live streaming on my birthday. I hear him in the hallway of my office. So that is the plan on the housekeeping. So the next live stream should be Thursday for members only, and then Friday for Friday Night Live. We will do kind of a weekly roundup for Friday Night Live. Follow me on social and here for shorts and reels if anything comes of the hearing tomorrow. I'm going to hit a few super chats, and then we are going to move right into the Tati stuff. Kira, thank you for the congratulations on 100K. I appreciate that. You're such an amazing person. You deserve it. Can't wait for purple hair. Purple hair should all things going according to plan. We should have purple hair by Friday Night Live. So I'm very excited about that. Well, Camille, that happens. Yes. Hello. Congratulations to or welcome as a new Law Nerd member. Question: a juror from the Chauvin trial may have jeopardized the verdict. He attended a pretrial rally. What could happen if he did? Kentucky girl, I will comment on this when I look into it further. I have not looked into it further. We have talked about the fact that there's going to be appeals in this case. I will talk about what happens if jurors are found to have not maybe been truthful in their surveys and stuff like that another day, because I'm still a little wild from yesterday and I cannot focus and give it the serious attention that it deserves today. But the mods actually let me know this morning that news had broken and shared that with me, because the mod squad is amazing, and I will be looking into it to comment on it. But that needs to be in a much more like settled, less pop culture, jovial kind of a way. So but thank you. We will talk about it. May the 4th be with you all. Congratulations, 100K. You so deserve it. Thank you. I just love that we have 100K law nerds that want to talk about like facts and the law and how it works, and want to know how it works, and also want to have some fun while we do it. It's great. Congratulations on 100K. Thank you. Celebrating your purple hair long ago with me cutting myself off from toxic family last year. Congratulations. Congratulations. Cheers to good vibes. I mean, setting boundaries is hard, but boundaries are also facts. So before we talk about the Tati Westbrook case, I totally forgot to share this stream on Twitter, so I'm going to go do that. Before we talk about the Tati Westbrook case, I'm going to give the disclaimer I always give, and the mods give this in the chat too, but it also needs to come from me. We are not here to disparage anyone. I know that people get confused by that sometimes when they are new, when they are not law nerds, and they come into the chat and they're like, this person or that person sucks. Yes, I get it. We all have opinions, but the chat is really to talk about the law and the facts, and not to A, get into a fight with each other, or B, to tear anybody down. I saw some comments on social media with regard to the Duggar case. People are like, the mods aren't letting them talk about the Duggar's parents. I'm like, no, we're talking about the person that was arrested and the allegations that are there. We are very much about talking about the case and the facts, but we're not here to really cast judgment, besmirch, disparage, or really talk about any particular person, though I know when it comes to talking about the Tati Westbrook case, that KJ is a polarizing personality. I understand it. I'm not saying it's not warranted. I'm just saying in the chat, we all know what it is. There is no need to dive any deeper into that, because we all know what it is. We've seen what it is. We know what it is. There's no need to get into that any deeper, really, right? I mean, there just isn't. So that's what we are doing when we talk about any case. We really don't go in on the people that the case is about, no matter how much we as a group are like, Josh Duggar, you suck. Yes, I get it. But that's not what we do. We all have our feelings. We're not here to just vent feelings. We're here to talk about facts. We can vent feelings on occasion. So let me just send this out to the text crew, because I totally sent an earlier message, but I didn't send the link to the video. I I just didn't. When we talk about the Tati Westbrook case, we're going to talk about what KJ tweeted. I don't normally talk about her or Twitter, but we're going to because it was a statement put out on Twitter. The statement that I asked for and received with regard to this case, and then all of my speculation about why, what, if I think it's good, if I think it's bad, all of the legal monuments to the gods of speculation, because we're in a place where we can do that. We can talk about what this might look like, what I think will happen, what have you. So I'm going to give a huge shout out to Allie from Truth Sleuth. I saw her share this tweet and I'm hoping it's still up on her Twitter. I'm going to go look for it because I think that she posted it. She's the one who I saw posted on Twitter. So I'm going to go pull that up from her Twitter account. If not, I will find it from somebody else's because I don't follow Without a Crystal Ball. I'm blocked. She's blocked. All of the blockage. So I'm going to try to go find that. Oh, I don't see it up on her Twitter anymore. Where did the tweets go? I should have screenshotted things. There we go. It's up there. The Progressive Conservative is the one who posted it, and then Truth Sleuth posted it. So let's pull up Twitter. Y'all, thank you for being mindful of the fact that we talk about facts and not people. Gutter Star McKenzie, happy birthday tomorrow. I am sorry about your boyfriend. You're not starting from nowhere. You've got you. And that is not nowhere. So we learn something from every relationship, though I know it sucks in the moment. But happy birthday from us. You share a birthday with Dr. Badass. I'm talking really fast. This is what happens. Like, I'm still sweating from yesterday. I'm still excited. Let's just. The Tati Westbrook KJ Without a Crystal Ball defamation lawsuit. It was dismissed a while back on grounds of jurisdiction. There has been speculation as to whether this case will be refiled or not. If you want a case brief, they are here on the channel. Go grab them. There is a case brief. There are videos on all the filings. There's lots of information for you if you're interested. But in sum, there is something called the statute of limitations. The statute of limitations is like, hey, you have this much time to file your shit. If you don't file your shit within this much time, that shit goes away. In this case, in Minnesota, which is where I'm assuming they'll refile, it makes the most sense. There's a 2-year statute of limitations on some of these claims, which comes up this month in May. I imagine that from the time that this case was dismissed on jurisdiction in Washington till now, there have been conversations behind the scenes, and we saw that confirmed by KJ on her Twitter account. I also presume that, and this is my assumption and speculation based on my experience as an attorney, that the complaint that would be filed in Minnesota is done and ready and would have been provided to the defense, in this case, KJ and her attorney, saying, hey, if we don't resolve this case, this is what we are filing against you. I will have more speculation about that after we get into the statements made on Twitter and then the statement, the official statement from Salty and the Tati Westbrook camp. So let's pull up Twitter real quick. And when I say I don't normally pull into Twitter, I don't, but this case has happened so much so much of this has happened on Twitter that it's only appropriate that like an official statement regarding the case would be on Twitter because of course it is. Let me make this bigger. So again, I saw these on Truth Sleuth's Twitter account. It looks like Progressive Conservative also posted this here. And we're just going to go through these 2 tweets. With regard to the dispute with the Westbrooks, the parties have entered into discussions to resolve this dispute without incurring the substantial cost and delay of further litigation. All of those statements are accurate. Well, we'll get into the Westbrook statement, but they confirmed that these were accurate tweets. Yes, there are substantial costs. Yes, there can be substantial delays. Litigation can take multiple years. To that end, they have agreed to toll applicable statutes of limitations to permit these discussions to continue without prejudicing either party's rights. During these discussions, the parties will not be making public comments or answering any questions related to the dispute, end quote. I imagine that this statement, it's interesting that there aren't quotes at the beginning and there's only end quotes here, but I imagine the statement was approved by counsel for both parties, that this was an official statement made, that this was agreed upon by Tati's attorneys, because now the public is aware that there is a tolling of the statute of limitations. That would mean there's a tolling agreement. What does that mean? What that means is that they have agreed that even though the statute of limitations would expire in May, presently, this month, that they're going to allow it to extend to give them the time and space that they need to have settlement negotiations and to do whatever they need to do in terms of settlement. And I will speculate about what some of those things could be based on my experience in a few minutes. But that's what that means. Tolling the statute of limitations mean there would be some kind of a signed agreement where they said, yes, we agree, so that if the Westbrooks go to file, if they can't come to an agreement, if an agreement can't be reached a month from now, 2 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, depending on how that agreement is written, the Westbrooks can go file, and KJ and her side can't say, cute, but the statute of limitations is told, because they have that signed agreement saying, no, we've agreed to give this more time. And that's appropriate to do, absolutely, when you're dealing with a settlement negotiation. I'm not surprised they're in settlement negotiations. I've speculated about that when there wasn't an immediate refiling. I imagine that the Westbrooks had other things that they would file based on everything that happened from the date of filing in October 30th, 31st, from that date of filing the lawsuit in Washington up until now. There were, from my perspective, additional statements made, and there were additional things that have gone on that could be lumped into that new lawsuit. I imagine they sent that over and were like, we're happy to keep going, but what you're not going to do is outspend us. So would you now like to have a conversation? So I reached out to Salty and asked if they had an official statement. Why did I ask? Because I saw a lot of conversation online of people not believing the veracity of this tweet. And I understand questioning things that are put out by KJ, especially when there's no other side to fact check it. I get it. I understand why people are like, what does this mean? Is this true? Is this accurate? And that's why I said, is there an official statement or position with regard to this tweet from KJ? Is this true? Are there settlement negotiations, what have you? And so the official statement is that Katie Joy and Without a Crystal Ball's statement is accurate. There is a tolling agreement in place, and we will not be answering questions about the dispute during mediation efforts. So from both sides, we have now heard that they are trying to resolve this lawsuit. Do I think that's a good thing? Yes. Let's get into Emily's speculation about all of this. This is speculation based on my experience as an attorney and how these things tend to go down. I have speculated a lot about these cases because it's not just the Without a Crystal Ball case. There is also a business partner lawsuit that is still ongoing. I pulled that lawsuit, and as we talk about the business partner lawsuit in context to why I think there's settlement negotiations going on and what that might look like, again, there was a case management conference held April 19th, 2021 with regard to the business partner litigation, and they continued the case management conference to September 21st, 2021. The case management conference is continued until September 21st, 2021. I am not surprised by this, but that's what's going on in the business partner suit. There was a motion to dismiss pending in that suit, or a motion to change venue. They're trying to move that case to Nevada, and that case is moving along quite slowly. This case Without a Crystal Ball has moved along much more quickly. So in my speculation, I think from the beginning of this, when I looked at the two lawsuits, what I said in my first video about the defamation suit, I think it was the first video, was that the language of the two lawsuits was very similar. Oh, I forgot to put on earrings, you guys. I did. They're here. Hold on. I was wondering. I was like, I don't feel like myself. We're going to do it while we're talking. I felt that the lawsuits were very similar. Why did I feel the lawsuits were very similar? Because some of the language that Clark Swanson used in his complaint was basically the language that we were seeing that KJ was accused of saying. Like the alleged defamatory statements lined up with some of the stuff that Swanson had said. And so I don't believe in coincidences in the law and was sitting there going, well, either it's one of two things. Either Swanson used KJ's reporting as facts and based some of his statements in his lawsuit on those facts, or Swanson was giving information to KJ and KJ was reporting those things. And then she has kind of an out with regard to the defamation saying, I had a source. The source said it was 100% accurate. I believed it was true. There's no malicious disregard to the truth. And this is why, because this is what I was being told by this source. If it is part one, Swanson took his information from KJ's facts, then there's potentially a lot more damages with regard to the defamation lawsuit. If it is, behind door number 2 and Swanson was giving information to KJ about Halo particularly, well, he's an owner of a company and we've seen all those statements on Twitter early on in this case saying, I stopped buying Halo because of KJ's reporting. I saw statements on my videos. I saw statements and respond to things that Saltz had tweeted while gathering evidence. We saw a couple declarations, I think it was 2, with regard to one of the jurisdictional motions. So we started seeing this information that people had stopped buying Halo based on what had been reported by KJ. So if she was reporting information that was given to her by Swanson, then Swanson is breaching a duty that he owes to Halo Beauty, making him kind of the target. But there's no way for, I would think, Tati and her side to know if it's behind door number 1 or door number 2 unless somebody said what it was. And I don't think that somebody's going to be Swanson. Now, we've seen videos after I started talking about this case and giving commentary on this case. I saw a lot of videos with regard to KJ saying things like, I had a source. I have a source involved in this litigation. This is a business partner. And I thought and still think that Swanson was that source. I think Tati's team is trying to get to Swanson with regard to the business partner lawsuit. If he was feeding information to KJ that was then the alleged defamatory statements, and I say alleged because, again, it's in a lawsuit. Those are allegations. But if the defamatory statements came from information Swanson was giving to KJ, she has a defense as to the defamation saying, hey, this wasn't malicious disregard to the truth. The business partner told me this shit. So I had a reasonable belief that it was true. The business partner is the issue. So if she's willing to tell or to share whatever conversations happened, for those things to be verified by deposition, by documentary evidence, by emails, whatever, then it essentially kills Swanson's lawsuit against Halo and the Westbrooks. And I imagine that that is one of the goals in these 2 lawsuits for Tati's team, is to figure out which door it is, because then they can handle their lawsuits appropriately. Either it's Swanson telling KJ, in which case she has a defense on her lawsuit and Swanson's in a much worse position on his lawsuit, or Swanson relied on KJ, in which case KJ is potentially in a worse position on her lawsuit. So trying to figure that out is going to be important to them. And if KJ is willing to enter into like honest discussions and settlement negotiations to say, no, this is why I had a reasonable belief that these things were true, then she has an out. I believe they were true because I was told by this person. Okay, if that's accurate and can be proven, then there's no point in them continuing to sue her and waiting for it to come out later. Because at the end of the day, what do the Westbrooks get if they sue KJ? Money that they're going to have to chase down forever, potentially repercussions against her YouTube channel. But if what they really want is to go after Swanson and she's willing to provide that to them, then they get to go after Swanson. She gets to keep her YouTube channel. Nobody spends any more money on litigation and it resolves. And really, if you're the 2 parties in this case, I think all of them want this to resolve without more litigation. Why do I think that? Because if you're the Westbrooks and you spend 18 months and 4 cease and desists, that's not a, oh, hey, I want to sue you immediately. That's a, fuck, We have gotten to the point where I have no other option left but to sue you. I imagine those 4 cease and desists were to try to push discussion, and that KJ did not want to have that discussion, whether it's because she believed she was right, whether it's because she was being obstinate, who knows what she was thinking, but didn't want to have those discussions with 4 cease and desist and was like, fuck it, go ahead and sue me and we'll see how it goes. Who knows why that was the choice, but it's never too late. Well, at some point it's too late, but this is an opportune time for them to both have those discussions and try to resolve that. So that's my speculation with this. They are clearly in settlement talks. The thing that KJ said on Twitter is true. And again, that is the parties have entered into discussions to resolve this dispute. Good. Most civil litigation should resolve. Most of it can resolve. And at the end of the day, KJ's not going to outspend the Westbrooks. And I don't think there's any point in her bankrupting herself to try to continue to go after the Westbrooks. I'm sure she's got other shit to do. And the statute's tolling, which means if they don't reach negotiations, they can refile. If they reach a settlement agreement, let's talk about what that looks like real quick. If a settlement agreement is reached, it's going to have a bunch of shit that the different parties need to do. It can have monetary stuff. It can have retractions of statements. Keep my name out of your mouth. I mean, that's not exactly what it would say in the settlement agreement, but that's essentially what it would be like. There would be terms and conditions of a settlement. We might never know those. Those could be between the parties with a non-disclosure statement that, hey, we're not disclosing the terms of a settlement. And then you would likely see both parties saying, we've reached a mutual settlement to resolve this dispute and we will not be discussing it further. And then we'd all go, well, something happened. And then we'd all keep a big eye on the Clark Swanson lawsuit, and try to figure it out from there. And then everybody would decode anything said in any videos going forward. And maybe Tati would come back to YouTube. But it can be, you can agree to just about anything in a settlement agreement. And that normally includes penalties and the threat of further litigation if that settlement agreement is breached. So there would be hey, if any of these terms are breached, this party owes this party this lump sum of money automatically. And there can even be stipulated judgments, which is a signed judgment saying, yes, if I breach this settlement agreement, file this judgment with the court. You don't have to essentially sue me again. There's a lawsuit that gets filed and then a judgment gets entered in your behalf. And that can happen if a settlement agreement is breached, because that's really the hammer that sits there over the settlement agreement to ensure that somebody doesn't fuck it up. That signed judgment that can be filed with the court upon any breach. So it might be good for the parties. I mean, we're all going to be like, well, we wanted to see what happened next. But it might be good for the parties. And that's really, at the end of the day with litigation, bleeding out money for absolutely no point is not something anybody should be doing. I don't know why it happened so much early on in this litigation. I don't know why Brown fought what he fought. I wonder, again, Emily's speculation, I wonder if Brown has finally watched some of the videos, because it seemed early on in the filings that maybe Brown hadn't seen everything and perhaps was relying on the perspective of his client. I wonder if Brown has now had time to review. I wonder if the hacking efforts really actually helped this case reach settlement, because if, I've seen the things that I've been subject to. I've seen some of the things Saltz has been subject to just because we get tagged on Twitter. And when there's DM harassment, they normally DM him and myself and others all in a group DM. So I've seen some of that harassment happening behind the scenes just because I've been subject to it. If KJ is being subjected to the same things and the parties are already working together to try to deal with that, there's already reason for these attorneys to be talking in a more collegial way than they were when litigation was pending in Washington. And if the attorneys were already talking in a more collegial way, you could get the, hey, we're going to refile this, but you really need to take a look at this list of videos we provided and kind of try to see our perspective a little bit in this so you can give your client the best advice you can give them. Because if you just listen to what they're saying, maybe a little independent investigation is needed. So I wonder if that has happened too. So in sum, the parties are in settlement negotiations. I'm not surprised by that. I think the hacking probably pushed that forward. I don't know if that was the goal of the hacking, but it probably pushed the parties together because they have to work together to deal with it. I think people bleeding out money over protracted litigation is always kind of dumb if it doesn't have to be that way, especially when you're dealing with individuals. I think that if really the goal is that Swanson gave KJ information, if that is the fact of what happened, and I don't know if we'll ever know if that is a fact, but if that is the fact of what happened, then this is not just a big YouTube channel going after a small YouTube channel, right? This is a member of a company essentially engaging in like corporate sabotage over their own company by feeding information to be put out onto the internet. And then you get breach of duties to the company and, business fair dealing and all that kind of stuff. You get all these other breaches of duty with regard to Swanson if he was engaged in that kind of behavior. We might not know if that was true or not, but if that's the thing, then I could see where there's something that actually KJ would have that the Westbrooks would want that's not just a financial settlement. So those are my thoughts. I think it's a good thing. I know it might feel disappointing. But I think it's a good thing that the parties are in settlement talks. And, it might be that, KJ does not do any more videos on Tati. I imagine never another Tati video. Tati can come back to the internet as this resolves, if this resolves, because then it's just the Halo Beauty lawsuit, which isn't really as internet involved. And since the rest of the Dramageddon stuff has kind of wrecked itself, like we've watched Jeffree Star wreck himself reputation-wise. We've watched James Charles and the allegations against him kind of come out and almost, buttress the things that Tati said. So if there's a time for her to come back to the internet, this settlement might be an opportunity for that as well, which might be something that she wants. So at the end of the day, KJ's statement on Twitter seems accurate. Tati Westbrook's statement is that there is a tolling agreement in place and they are not answering questions during mediation efforts, which means they might actually have a third party sit down with everybody and go, hey, they're offering this, they want this, resolve. And a third party mediator might be exactly what this case needs, because then it takes the lawyers out of locking horns and you get another perspective. So that, friends, that is the Tati Westbrook case. Should we just do questions? I see a lot of chat about this. I really do want to quickly talk about the Duggar arraignment, and then we'll do questions on both of these. So that's what it is. And we will talk about it. Let's talk about what to expect tomorrow and what we can see tomorrow from this real quick. And then we'll just get into questions. We're like 30 minutes in. We'll do it. All right. So let's talk about bond hearings. Bond and bail. I use the terms interchangeably because I was a criminal prosecutor, though different jurisdictions refer to them differently. That just is the way that it is. Some state level jurisdictions call them bond, some call them bail, same with federal. So Josh Duggar was arrested. Some are saying he turned himself in. Either way, same. He's in custody. He was arraigned on 2 counts of relating to CP. We're not going to get in deeply to those counts today. There's other videos covering them. He faces up to 20 years in prison. I've gotten a lot of questions about that. Look, these cases run concurrent. The statement from the U.S. attorney is a maximum of 20 years. One case carries 20, one case carries 10. I did this in the breakdown of the indictment. You can be sentenced on both counts. The sentences just happen at the same time. So minimum 5 years, maximum 20 years. But when it comes to sitting down to talk about something like bond and bail, the court is going to evaluate a number of factors. One, can you guarantee that this person will come back, not just for court proceedings, but if they are sentenced. It's one of the things that having people out of custody is always a concern, that they won't show back up for sentencing. If there's a trial, like in the Chauvin trial, you saw him being handcuffed and taken back into custody after the sentence before the sentencing. That's typical after a trial. But in cases like this, with Josh Duggar, it's just as likely that the case could plea. And so you would have to make sure somebody turns themselves over to the court and then presents themselves to go into custody to serve their prison sentence. So that's one of the considerations. Another consideration is safety to the public, likelihood of recidivism while they're out, which means doing that shit more while they're out of custody. We've already seen the court in this case address it during the arraignment hearing, which is when the person is formally charged in court. During the arraignment hearing, the court indicated that if there was a release on bond, that there would be a third party that would be living with Josh Duggar to make sure he adhered to the terms of his bond, which would likely include things like no internet, my speculation, no accessing the internet, my speculation, but the court indicated no contact with minors. That's going to include his own children and family members. So if he is released, there will be conditions set by the court, probably a monetary amount or collateral property like we saw in the Jen Shaw case, and a third party that would be with him essentially 24/7 to make sure that he wasn't doing shit he wasn't supposed to do while he's out. It seems that the court feels that that's the only way to guarantee that he's actually adhering to the terms, and the terms, not just no contact with minors, but I assume based on having somebody with him 24/7, that part of the court's thinking will be this no accessing the internet type of a condition, which would be appropriate in a case that largely involves the interwebs. Isn't it interesting to be able to be like, you can't go on the internet, and we're going to make sure that you can't go on the internet, and we're going to have somebody monitor you to make sure that you don't go on the internet. We will see those terms tomorrow. We could also see his attorneys not arguing about the conditions. Where we got a lot of information in the Jen Shaw case is when her attorneys started arguing the amount of release, when it needed to be turned over, that she needed 2 additional signatories to co-sign essentially her bond. What happens is that if she doesn't come back, they have to put up the money. So if you don't see his defense attorneys arguing, which they might not, they might have already been talking to the government attorney saying, these are the conditions we're asking for. The defense attorney already running it by Josh Duggar and saying, hey, this is what they're asking for. If you want to get out, this is what you have to do. Cool, not cool. You let us know, because if you're not cool, you can stay here. And if you're cool, we're just going to go ahead and do that. And maybe talking to the court about logistics and not really arguing. Arguing it definitely gives the government more time to give the court all of the information, but also that's where we as observers find out all of the information. So we'll see. I imagine for privacy's sake, the defense will talk to the government attorneys, figure out what they want, and not really argue it in court, so that the court just solidifies or verifies what's already been discussed, which is a really, I would say it's good speculation. Is any speculation good? It's lawyerly educated speculation, because they did put over the hearing for a number of days. I think the reason they put over that hearing is to allow the time for these conversations to happen. Otherwise, you would just do the arraignment and the detention hearing all at the same time. So that's really what I expect from tomorrow. If there's anything unusual, I'll let you know. I would expect money, property, a lot of conditions, a third party, no contact with minors, no internet. That's what I think we'll see. They might have a stipulated place where you can only live in this location, things like that. So that is my anticipation for the bail bond hearing tomorrow. With regard to Josh Duggar, you guys, we have gotten through 2 topics in 40 minutes. High fives, law nerds. High fives. I told you I was distracted today. We just hit 100,000 subs yesterday. It's a lot. There's a lot going on, but we got through. We plowed through some stuff. So let's just get into all of your questions, speculations, thoughts, and all the things. I'm going to try to get to super chats. If I missed anything, I am sorry. I'm going to scroll up as far back as the chat will let me go in a second and try to swoop some questions. Go ahead and put question in front of it in the chat. If you are here and you have not yet subscribed, do the thing. Liked the video, do that thing. And if you don't follow me on social, I'm at the Emily D. Baker all over the social media. So you can do that too. Chloe, first time I've caught you since 100K. It did just happen yesterday. Huge congrats to you and your channel. Thank you. Thank you for bringing law nerds together on YouTube. Yay. I can't wait for the purples either. Thank you very much. Tia, KJ nor Josh will learn, and they will keep doing what they've been doing and digging themselves into holes. If that's true, there's going to be consequences for both of them. Won't learn at all. They need the book thrown at them. They need the book thrown at them, to be thrown at them, to be thrown at them, to be thrown at... repeated flogging with books. I get it. I get it. Uncovering hypocrisy. Is taking a screenshot of a court proceeding sanctionable? It is sanctionable. It just would have to be proven to the court. But yes, it is sanctionable. With regard to the Duggar hearing, I shared the screenshot of the court's order on Twitter in a comment to somebody, but it said in it that it's sanctionable. You cannot record proceedings in any way. And here's the thing. I talked about this with Kate Casey. We were in a clubhouse room shortly after the Jen Shaw bond hearing. And somebody in the room was like, oh no, I recorded it. She said this, so I can refer back to it. It's like, no. And she's like, well, I just did it for my own purposes. No. I'm like, no, you cannot. You cannot. You cannot. It is illegal. You can get in all kinds of trouble for it. You cannot. She's like, well, I'm not going to distribute the recording. I'm like, distribution's not the thing. Recording it is the thing. And that's not just audio recording it. That is memorializing it in any way other than your own contemporaneous notes about the thing. You are allowed to make notes about it. And even then, some courts don't like it when people live tweet things. And you will see courts being like, meh. We don't want it like verbatim live tweeted either. So, question from Sabrina. Assuming Swanson is found to be KJ's source, what blowback or repercussions, if any, could he face in the business partner lawsuit? Oh, it would be problematic. Now, whether the Westbrooks and Halo Beauty would cross sue him is one thing. Whether or not the suit would just get dismissed and he would be removed from the company could also be a possibility. It just depends on how much they want to go after him with that. But it would be a huge problem for him. It would be a huge problem for him. I can only imagine that's what is suspected by the Westbrooks. Why do I think that? Well, because that was my suspicion. Without knowing any of this, when I saw the two lawsuits together, and again, but when I saw KJ get sued, I had no idea who KJ was, what a KJ was, what a Without a Crystal Ball was, why that was the name of a YouTube channel anyway. No idea. Knew nothing. Had never heard of the woman. And so when I read the two lawsuits, I was like, these things kind of line up. But again, fraud was my favorite area of being a DA. So my brain kind of works that way. Now, I do a lot of research. I've been an attorney for over 15 years. Finding a probate lawsuit to dig up and report on in Hawaii seemed sus to me. Like, yes, you could go jurisdiction by jurisdiction, court by court, but if somebody knew that was going on and knew the parties and gave you a heads up to where to look, it'd be a lot easier. And then when you saw the KJ videos with her talking, essentially laying out that Swanson was her source, my perspective, it all kind of came into clearer vision where it was like, oh, there's only two parties involved in the Swanson suit. It's the Westbrooks, Halo Beauty, which is mostly controlled by the Westbrooks, and Swanson. I don't think that the Westbrooks were talking to KJ about that suit or anything else. So I think that Swanson is her source. I've always thought that Swanson was her source. And again, there's nothing wrong with having sources. If KJ was told things, then the wrong thing is not necessarily on her end. The wrong thing is on his end. Part of the thing on her end is not verifying that what she was being told was 100% accurate. So there's that. let me just welcome Stephanie as a new member. Thank you. Emily, I agree that Duggar's mugshot is creepy. It is a creepy mugshot for sure. Samantha, Aloe, good luck with your treatments tomorrow. I'm glad you're here today too. I am going to keep going through questions. Something is binging on my computer and it's making me crazy, so I've got to close it. I forget to close things. It happens. Question. Could you ever imagine another suit out there as the KJ Tati one? Congrats on 100K. Thank you. Been here since 8K. Also, thank you. Welcome. Glad you've been here. It's been a journey. I cried when we hit 10K. I'm trying not to cry now. Could you ever imagine another suit as out there, as crazy, as wild as the KJ Tati one? I'm sure there will be. But you've got to have attorneys that also spin up, and you also have to have a party talking online. Like, a lot of things happened that popped that lawsuit off. The amount of people that came out on social media to say, I've seen this, I've seen that, here's what I've seen. It was the amount of talking that KJ did that definitely spun it up. The amount of videos, lives and deletes, tweets and deletes, all of that spun it up. And then the attorneys went to DEFCON red very, very quickly. It was mind-boggling. I hope that if the parties resolve, that we will be able to talk to Saltz a bit about, not about the settlement, because that will probably be NDA'd, but about the experience of going through that suit and how much it popped off. It's just wild. It's just wild. Camilla says it sure feels like this is a missed opportunity to make KJ pay for her repeated harassment and defaming other people. I get that this isn't how justice works. Well, the Tati Westbrook suit is only about Tati Westbrook. So they are going to do what is best to resolve their suit for them. And maybe, just maybe, the entire process will be an illuminating experience. We can all hope. Will you talk about KJ taking screenshots during the hearing? Scarlett, I have seen her saying that she did that. I have not seen that she had shared that. I hope that she was bragging and that was not actually the truth. I do think that KJ sometimes just talks out of her butt about things, and I'm hoping that was a untrue statement. Do you remember that there's a scene from what movie? Darn it. What movie am I thinking of? With Matthew McConaughey. All right. What am I thinking of? It's not Can't Hardly Wait. I'm going to blank. It's going to come to me. No, not Fast Times. Dazed and Confused was going to come to me. So in Dazed and Confused, there's a scene where somebody goes in and steals beer and comes running out and then gets chased by somebody with a shotgun. And his friend is like, just give the beer back, man. And he's like, I paid for the beer, man. Because he didn't want to tell his friends that he didn't steal the beer. So he pretended he stole the beer, but he really paid for the beer. I am hoping and trying to give the benefit of the doubt that this was more of a braggadocio moment and not an actual taking a screenshot of a court proceeding, which is illegal. So that's what it is. Amy Yost, coming up on the Mint Gavel soon. I know, I'm very excited. The gavels will be changing colors for everybody that's been members for 6 months, which is very, very exciting to me. I cannot wait. Question, can the previous issues with his sisters be brought up during this case? Casey Carter, you are talking about with regard to the Duggar case. If there are certain instances where prior acts can come up. In a CP case, it might not come up because there was no conviction, which is an issue, but it might come up at sentencing, not at the guilt phase, just depending on how this case goes, where they can say, look, there are these other factors of behavior that indicate that this is a person who might not have other convictions, but this is a person who should be in prison, and this is why they should be in prison. So I think it's most likely that if it is able to be admitted, that it would come up during sentencing. That doesn't mean it can't come up. It just means that it's unlikely that it would come up during the guilt, because the guilt of the thing with this is, did you have it? Did you have it? And did you have it? And so it's not really relevant to did you have it? It's more relevant to this is why you should be in prison for longer. So in criminal, there's the guilt phase of a thing. Did you do the shit that we think that you did? And did you do it beyond a reasonable doubt? And then there's the penalty phase of the thing. What should your sentencing be? And those are two separate parts of trial. And sometimes you see two trials. You'll see a guilt phase trial, and then you'll see a penalty phase or a punishment phase or a sentencing phase trial. And I think we're going to see this in the Chauvin case, depending on what happens, because they're trying to show the court, the prosecution's trying to show the court, look, this is why this person should go to prison for longer than the sentencing guidelines will indicate. I am going to talk about sentencing guidelines in criminal law more with Natalie Lawyerchick. We are setting a date, and we're going to talk more about these things from like a DA perspective and a defense attorney perspective, about things like searches, seizures, evidence, constitutional rights of defendants, due process, equal protection under the law, and what sentencing guidelines mean. But sentencing guidelines give bumpers, if you will, or boundaries to a judge. If the sentencing guidelines on a case are like 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, you can't just give somebody 50 years. You also can't just give somebody no years. You have to give them one of those things, and there has to be a reason to do low term, midterm, high term. And that is the sentencing scheme in a lot of places in the US and the federal government. So that's a lot. Question, is there any chance you could touch on Triller and their ability to sue people that might have pirated the fight? Is it realistic that they could subpoena VPNs? Grace, I have been asked about this suit. I have not even had a chance to pull it and look at it yet. I know that the H3H3 podcast is alleged to be being sued in this suit. I will pull it up. I'm hoping to talk about it for Friday Night Live and what that looks like. You're not allowed to pirate fights. You're definitely not allowed to rebroadcast fights. But yes, I will pull it up for sure. Question, thoughts on Jake Paul's suit against H3H3? Well, it's not Jake Paul's suit. It's and does Jake Paul own Triller or Thriller or whatever it's called? I don't think that he does, but I will pull that and talk about that on Friday. If you guys are interested, let me know in the chat if you're interested in talking about the H3H3 suit. Question, do we know how long the statute of limitations will be extended if mediation fails? Teresa, no, we won't. They will sign an agreement. Based on the statement, they've signed an agreement. So they've signed a tolling agreement. We don't know how long that's for. It's whatever the parties deem necessary, and we won't know how much that is for. So it's good. What else? I'm just going through questions. Matthias said, same question as Grace, but I don't see Grace's question. Oh, but I answered it. This one. All right. We will talk about that on Friday. It seems that there's a lot of interest in the Triller case. Sorry. Thirsty. Question, do you think Anna will use spousal privilege so she won't have to speak against Josh, assuming this goes to trial? Carly, spousal privilege, depending on the area, can be that she can choose not to speak, but it also can be that Josh can block her from speaking. I imagine that they will not seek to have her testify, but you never know. So that there's a lot of information I would need to actually give really helpful information about that, but they cannot compel her to testify against him. And in some cases and in some jurisdictions, he can block her from testifying because spousal privilege is an absolute privilege. I am going to keep going through for questions. It's so good to see you guys. Question, how would a third party be paid to live with him? Would that be through the court, or would he have to pay the person? It would generally be something that he has to pay for as part of his release. And it's like, oh, if you can't afford it, too bad, so sad. You have to stay in custody where we can go ahead and monitor you. So that, look, the ability to be out is is not it's not necessarily a guaranteed right. There are lots of discussions about ability to pay and bail and bond, because if you can't pay for that, do you just get forced to sit in custody? Do we keep people in custody because they can't afford things sometimes? And that's where the conversation in the US happens regarding some of the disproportionate impacts of bail, particularly when it gets expensive, because people who have more money have more ability to be out of custody, and people who have less money do not have the ability to be out of custody. So yes, that would be one of his conditions. No, I don't think the court would pay for that, though I could be wrong. We will see what the court says about it. Chloe, first time we got to that one. Okay, that's how far back I went. I am way far back, you guys. I'm going to try to speed up. What are your thoughts on Britney's latest Instagram post? There have been a lot of them. They don't seem to, they are odd. They're odd. There's a whole podcast that covers Britney's post. They are odd. They are odd. They are odd. Question, is the third party a government or court employee, or like when a juror is chosen? Oh, I would imagine it will be somebody that is somewhat tangentially connected to him, that has had to go through the interview process with the court, just like in the Jen Shah case where she's got the 2 financial signers that had to be vetted by the court and the people. I think it would be someone who is vetted by the court and the people. You can't just force a stranger, like jury duty. Could you imagine you pull that card and it's like, oh, you're not serving jury duty, you have to go live with Josh Duck. No, I'm not going to go ahead and do that. So, all right, I am very far behind on questions. Apologies all. Thank you for being patient. This Christina asked about the threats. This is still being investigated. So it is still being investigated. And then my chat just jumped. So I will have missed things. I am sorry. Victoria, I had to check. I've got 29 days until my mint gavel. The mint gavels are going to look so cool. I cannot wait to see them. Question, what are your thoughts on it being referred to as CSAI instead of CP? Jen, I've been asked about this a number of times on social. I think it's great to refer to it as such. However, the indictment and the law is CP. So when it comes to referring to the laws, because I'm a legal commentary channel, I refer to the laws as they are written, even when sometimes the way that they are written seems dated or outdated or old-fashioned. I think that the way we understand things through language and changing languaging is important, but I also think that for me to be accurate, I refer things, and I'm going to pull up the indictment. I refer to things the way they are called by the law. If we want the laws to change, that's something we all have the ability to do. Write to your Congress people and be like, can you change this? The problem I see with CSAI when we're referring to the law is that the law is here, let's pull this up. The law, again, receipt of CP, possession of CP. That is actually the title of the crime. If we refer to it as CSAI, you would have to redo the definition in 18 USC 2256 and all of those subsections. So all the definitions would have to be redone. And then you would have to go through and make sure that even if perhaps it's not a child, but it's a digital image and what have you, and you would have to then define what is sexual. So that would have to be redefined. And then you would have to define what is abuse, and that would have to be redefined. Where at this point, pornography has quite a lot of definitions within the law, and there's quite a lot of case law regarding what is legal pornography and what is illegal pornography, because there are other things that are illegal that aren't just child related in that realm. So there's a lot of First Amendment cases that refer to it as such, and there are a lot of case law precedent that refer to it as such. So I understand the desire to change the languaging around it. But then it's making sure that when you do that, you don't take the weight of the case law away and have to redefine all these terms, because then that makes it easier to beat prosecutions. And I think that that is problematic. So, no, you have not missed the monthly Zoom call. I was sick and I've had to postpone it. I have not rescheduled it in the community tab, but I will. I'm so thirsty. Sorry, we've been talking a lot, and I am trying to go through the chat quickly. All right, we are interested in the H3 stuff. I think I'll do a YouTube short on it once I have a moment, and then I will address it on Friday Night Live. Oh, Bill Gates owns Triller. Fantastic. We could just talk about Bill Gates on Friday. We can talk about what a multi-billion-dollar divorce looks like with no prenup. It'll probably, though, to be honest, the Bill Gates divorce will probably end up being very, very much like Jeff Bezos's divorce, where they all just decided it behind the scenes, and then it was just signed by the court. But we'll see. Question, are you going to cover the Call of Duty Warzone versus Warzone trademark court fight? Kelm, I have not pulled it up yet, but I will for sure. We have some trademark stuff to go over. I'm starting to try to group things together. So like when we talk about employment law, I can talk about them together and refer back to them. When we talk about trademarks, I can refer to the other trademark cases. So I want to talk about Warzone and Kanye West and Walmart together. Everybody's interested in H3. Okay, we will cover it probably on Friday, for sure. Let's see. It has been alleged that Josh Duggar sold his house and opened LLCs in his wife's name. If it can be proven that Jim Bob, his dad, assisted him with hiding assets, can they be charged? There's so many levels of it. Depends. The thing is with this asset forfeiture, so when we pull up the asset forfeiture in this really is very narrow and specific because this is not a distribution crime. This is a great question, by the way. So I'm glad we're talking about it. The asset forfeiture in this really goes to crime proceeds, but there's no crime of distribution or sales alleged here. So crime proceeds aren't really an issue. So what is really being forfeited here is going to be any of the actual stuff, any digital copies, any of the CP, any of that's going to be forfeited. And when it's forfeited, it will later then be destroyed. Any real or personal property constituting traceable to gross profits or proceeds obtained from the offenses. These offenses involve possession and receipt. They do not involve distribution. So I do not believe there was any money made off of this. If there was money made off of this, it would be additional charges. Those would have been alleged. So there's not going to be any assets forfeited with regard to gross profits. Unlike the Jen Shaw case, which is a whole different matter. Like if assets in the Jen Shaw case are going to come well more into play than assets in the Duggar case. Any property, real or personal, including any computer equipment, any and all computer equipment. That's going to be one of the big things, but I imagine they already got that and anything that they found. So this allows the government. Oh, my brain got ahead of myself. Okay, so I saw reports that there was a raid in 2019. If that raid was connected to this and digital goods and digital items were taken, computers and what have you, to do forensics on, this is the government saying, yeah, we're going to go ahead and keep all that. Thanks. And then subsequent to arrest, there might have been additional items, digital items taken, iPads, phones, computers, things like that. And the government's going to say, okay, if this has any trace to it, then we're going to go ahead and keep that too. But that's not really forfeiting additional assets other than computer goods that may have already been taken if the raid was connected to these particular crimes, which, we have speculative conversation of, but we don't actually have like hard evidence of. The timing seems to indicate that the two are connected, but we don't know that 100% for sure. If any of the property subject to forfeiture, which again is gross proceeds, which based on the charges, there probably won't be any, computer equipment or any digital stuff used in this, and any of the actual items of CP. That's what can be forfeited. And then you can substitute anything. So if something had been transferred or sold, these are really just basic boilerplate language on this. This really goes, these things, A, B, C, D, and E, go to the circumstance where there's gross proceeds. So this is really going to be forfeiting the items that have been taken of CP and the digital goods, as bolded here, the digital goods used. Yes, it could be any real property, personal, but it's got to be connected to these crimes. They can't just be like, cool, you're the worst, we're taking all of your shit. Now, if you are running financial crimes, cool, you're the worst, we're taking all your shit takes on a whole nother meaning, and they can do quite a lot of that. So, Valerie, touche, because this is Triller Night. Thank you for that. Well played. Can you update the Duggar case next live? Queen, yes. I'll talk about it on Friday Night Live, and then I will either do a live if there's anything big that happens, but I'll probably do some YouTube shorts and update it as well. So we have that. Scums, I'd be pissed if I got sued for pirating a fake fight. I mean, maybe, just wild speculation, maybe we'll see people who buy the fight suing Triller for selling a fake fight and for, I don't know, this is speculation, like the advertising, like violations of advertising law. It's like you advertise this to be this, and it was actually just a staged fight. I know that's all speculation, but maybe the people who bought the fight will countersue. So, thank you so much for the super sticker. Faith Adams says this is standard practice for pirating stolen material. UFC does it. Of course they do. They have to. They absolutely have to. That's the only way to protect their stuff is to sue when people pirate things. What's a Leica? Hello. Could his sisters be asked to testify in his sentencing with regard to the Duggar case? They can be asked to. They cannot be forced. They cannot be like compelled to. But if they want to, they absolutely can. We are a long way from that. We're a long way from that, but we'll see. Even if he pleads, this can happen though, because he can plea, the court's still going to determine sentencing. So you can still have a whole sentencing hearing where people testify, and you'll have the defense bringing in people to say, he's an upstanding guy. I mean, or maybe you won't. And then you'll have people saying, no, he's a danger to society, a menace. He has these issues that are compulsive and problematic, and he needs all the time in the world, because if he gets out, he's just going to keep doing this because he can't not. Amy Yost, question, have you ever considered being a mediator? My colleague is hosting a Zoom for interested students, and I'm considering attending. Are there any benefits of being a mediator besides no caseload? I have not considered being a mediator. I don't know if I would want to be a mediator. I have not really thought about it in depth. I get tired mediating my kids. Like, so I feel like I mediate my household quite a lot. And at some point I'd be like, ugh, you're being dumb. However, the nice thing about mediation would be like, look, you're getting this offer, it's not going to get better. You're getting this offer, it's probably only going to get worse. So if you two can't reach an agreement, this is how fucked you both are. So could we just be adults? But also, then it would take away from doing this. And I like doing this. And I do some consulting with this, and this is my favorite. So I think it would be interesting, though. I don't see any downside to being a mediator. Benefits are it can pay well, and you don't have a caseload. So how do we watch the Duggar case? I don't know if they're doing a Zoom for the bond hearing or if it's a call-in. I will check, and if I see that, I'll put it on Twitter. Question, could the or some infos regarding Josh Duggar be coming from a bust of a CP site in Germany, out of Germany. A bust was reported this week. Angelica, I will look into that. I speculated that this was regarding potentially a bust of a site, because it seemed that way based on the charges, and it was from 2019. So they would have infiltrated the site back in 2019 because that's generally the download date. But it's always possible that this was related to a site. Welcome to the channel. Question: how did the boys react yesterday to my grand achievement? Well, Travis was like, cool. And I Instagrammed Griffin a little bit. He was excited, but then he also told me, not on film, he was like, well, there's still a K after your number. And so if you look here, when you look at this, you can see that it's 101K. Griffin has let me know that until there's an M, he's raised the standards. Until there's an M, that I'm not as cool as his favorite YouTubers. So I have been told that now it needs to be like the kids raise the bar really high. I think T will be more excited when there's actually a silver play button, though. Okay, don't tell my kid that I said this. I did see him taking a picture of the counter, and I think he sent it to a few of his friends. So I think low key he's excited. So thank you for asking, Boxy. Let's see. The Gates divorce with no prenup. I really do think that the attorneys will sort that all out. I don't see, after 26 years of marriage, depending on what ended the marriage, I don't get a protracted court fight vibe. I get very much I give you this, we do that, kind of take away vibe, like more like the Bezos divorce. But if they're in Washington with 26 years of marriage, I mean, she is very realistically entitled to like half, and they could also just split that down the middle, and she could say, okay, well, I want this asset or that asset, and you keep your ownership interest in this business or that business. They have enough money that I don't think that's going to be an issue. It's just going to be connecting how they want to divide that up. I mean, it's a lot of property. And at the end of the day, it's the end of a relationship, which is going to be hard for everybody involved. Heidi Kelly, do you think that they would investigate if his children had been abused? And Furious Dragon asks, can they make his children be checked? I would not be surprised if they had forensic interviews done with the kids. I wouldn't be surprised by that, but we will see. I haven't seen any information of that, and we might not get any information of that. K-Tib question: a photo has surfaced of a juror wearing a shirt, "Don't Kneel on Me," who was on the Derek Chauvin case. Could the guilty verdict be overturned? I have not looked into the reporting on that enough to comment on it, but I will comment on it once I have, once I've looked into it, and B, on stuff like that, it's really hard for me to do a fast reacts because I need to think through like, okay, well, if this, then this, and if this, then that, and if this, then this other thing. So I haven't thought through the process of what I think the different outcomes are yet. So it's really hard for me to comment on it. It's just going to depend. This is why it's high profile cases are hard. And I wouldn't be surprised, again, I haven't seen the reporting. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the juror who gave an interview, and I haven't watched their interview. So more research will be done. I will comment on it when I have something actually helpful to say. That was a long way of saying I don't know enough yet to talk about it. Question: sorry if this is asked and answered. Danielle, wonderful use of asked and answered. So, even if it was asked and answered, I'll allow it. Going to be in the replay crew. When there is a settlement reached outside court, are those known to the public? It depends on what the parties decide, but very often there's a non-disclosure agreement where the parties say, we've reached a mutual settlement, kind of like Nike. Nike and Mischief are like, we've reached a settlement and we've allowed for this and this. They gave us very vague terms, and that's all we're going to know about it. So I can't imagine with how public this case has been, there wouldn't be some kind of a mutual statement. We've reached a settlement. We've agreed to this. I can't imagine there would not be. My chat jumped again because I got so far behind. I apologize with how far behind I am. Congratulations, Emily. Your law nerds can fill 2 football stadiums. Well, devil's advocate, when you say it like that, it feels like a lot of people. It's a lot of law nerds. I enjoy it. So hello, Money Magu. I hope I pronounced that right. Became a member today. Thank you for reading my comment yesterday on the replay. Myself, 4 kids, and hubby freaked out. Had to record and post. Well, welcome. Congratulations. And we've read another one. So welcome and congratulations. So Sandeman, I am not going to pronounce that correctly. KJ shared a clip of Josh going into holding room and getting patted down. That might not have been, and I, again, have not researched it. That might not have been from the arraignment. That could have been publicly accessed from the booking facility. Some of those things are public. Some of them are not. I would have to look into that further to actually give helpful and accurate information on that, because sometimes those things are made public. If that was from the arraignment, then that would be a problem. I'm going to try to get to questions. I think I missed, let me see. If I missed a super chat, I apologize. I'm going to try to get to them. Teresa asked, is it possible? Anything's possible. Is it possible that the juror photo is a deepfake? Anything's possible. It's also possible that jurors lie on their intake forms, because it's been known to happen. Amanda Jean asked, why would KJ agree to a tolling of the statutes of limitations instead of just letting them run out? That's a fantastic question. I imagine that this went down similar to, hey, we're going to file this so we don't run out of the statute of limitations. And once we file it, there will be no resolving this case. So if you would like to go round and round again and spend your money, you are welcome to, but you know what this ride is like. And she would have gone, or her attorney would have gone, no, we're interested in having a conversation with you. We'd like to not proceed with protracted and expensive litigation. So the statute wouldn't have run out, Amanda. They would have filed the lawsuit in Minnesota. And once they file it, they're going to be like, we're not having settlement discussions. I know I missed some other questions. I'm sorry. I'm going to go back and look and make sure I didn't miss any other super chats. And we're going to get a little into court of public opinion. Miss Mia said the Duggars have several pilots in the family and at least one plane. Could that make Josh look like a flight risk? It depends on how it's presented to the court, but having access to planes is always going to be a consideration, because you can't just like turn over your passport and have it be good. If you have your own plane, it's a different thing. Welcome, Kane. Thank you for becoming a member. Question, will Josh be able to attend the birth of the 7th child if his release conditions stipulate that he has no contact with children? No. No contact with children means no contact with children, including his own children. And again, consequences of one's own actions would be in there. And even though these are allegations at this point, there are still conditions of release, because the thing is, if he was in custody, if he is in custody, he would miss it anyway. So being out of custody, you have to adhere to those conditions, because the alternative is you stay in custody. And for the mods, yes, the members only live stream for May is Thursday at 7 p.m. Central. So thank you. Yes, Thursday. And I'll put that in the community tab too. I've forgotten to do things that I normally do this week, because yesterday was just wild. Asher, I will go pull it up on the back end and answer it. When I get behind on the chat, it leaps, and there's been like 4,000 of us here the whole time. So it does leap on me, but I'll find it. All right. I think I know I've missed a bunch of questions. I'm sorry. I have no idea how to answer that, Anne. I don't know. But if there is a settlement, I will be keeping a close eye on what happens on the business partner lawsuit. Could one of the Duggars be the third party? It's possible that a family member could be the third party, but they would have to be vetted by the court. And it would have to be vetted by the court. Jessica said, would double jeopardy attach if they find more CP on any of the seized computers after the indictment? Es posible. So here's what it depends on how they find it. So if there were computers that were seized in 2019 and they didn't charge it, then they have lost their ability to charge it. If they seized computers at the time of arrest, after the indictment was unsealed, then that's new evidence that they did not have in their possession at the time of charging. So then they could do that. So it depends on when. Generally with jeopardy, they have to charge everything they have evidence of and proof of and access to evidence of at the time of charging. And if they had those computers, then they had access to that. I hope that makes sense. Do I plan to cover the Valo Daybell case? Not yet, but it's on. I have a large list of stuff I've been meaning to get to, but like other stuff keeps happening. So it's on my list, but not just yet. All right. Keep asking questions. I've got to pull up the back end and see what I missed. I know I missed a few. I always try not to, but I know that I missed a few super chats. So let me pull those up real quick. I mean, my brain is definitely not working as fast as it normally does, which I'm sure you can all see. It's been an interesting few days. All right. Let's see. JJ asked Emily, will we know if KJ gives up Swanson when the Swanson versus Westbrook Halo lawsuit proceeds? It depends on what's said in that lawsuit, and it depends on how things are said in that lawsuit. So possible. Money Mogo said, become a member today. Thank you for reading my comment yesterday. Oh, yay. Thank you. We got that. Charlotte H, what are your thoughts on lawyers for Britney being harassed and doxxed? I think it sucks. I don't think creators should ever be harassed and doxxed. I mean, being harassed and doxxed doesn't make any sense to me. It's just like, leave the lawyers for Britney alone. I also don't know what people's beef is with lawyers for Britney. I don't know what the issue is, but no, don't dox accounts that are creators. Just, if you don't like what they're saying, just don't listen. So I don't know. I don't understand. No, nobody should be doxxed. Anonymous accounts, if they are not hurting anything, stay anonymous. If they are hurting something, they get reported to the platform. Amanda Jean asked, how long does the tolling of the statutes last? It depends on what their agreement was. So they can agree for, 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever. So they can agree. Shelly Durbin, I missed a lot of super chats, y'all. I'm sorry. The chat jumped and I got behind, and I apologize. Shelly Durbin asked, if Josh goes to federal prison, will he get special treatment because he's a former reality star? No. He might end up in protection because of the types of allegations, because that could be a problem. So it would not be because he was a reality show member. It would be because of the nature of the allegations, and that the nature of those allegations can put him at risk. There is honor among criminals when it comes to certain things, and those in custody definitely have, prison has its own pecking order. If you want to know more about that, there are some books about it, books like The Black Hand and others that talk about not only prison gangs, but large gang and how that operates. There are pecking orders of things, and children-involved crimes do not go over well in those pecking orders. So no special treatment because he's a reality star. Marvelous Mel said, today is officially my 15th anniversary of being an attorney. 15 years. Congratulations. Yay. I have to look up. I mean, I got bar results in November. So I guess November is my official date because that's when I got bar results. I'll have to keep an eye on that for sure. Asher 1776 said, after a brain injury, I've lost the ability to read very well and need to find new ways to learn. Your channel has allowed that and inspired a new passion. Thank you. Can't wait for purple. Asher, that's so sweet. Thank you. I am so glad. Audio is such a good thing. Such a good thing. And I use it quite a lot. Stargazing Dragon asked, can I cover the Triller suit? We're going to do that Friday. Rachel, XOXO, thank you. Hello. What's 100K history? 1 million red hair knocking next month. Well done. I will have to figure out what hair we're going to do at 1 million. It's going to be a while. Amanda Jean, I got to that. Uncovering, we got to that. Tia, we got to that. Chloe, we got to that. I think that's everybody. SC said, Ari, biased jury lying under oath or in legal depositions would be perjury. It's a crime against justice because it compromises the authority of the courts. We'll see what happens. But yes, lying on juror questionnaires is a very serious thing. And if that happened, there will be court hearings about it. It will be a very big problem. But I need to know more about that. Ashley Claire said, what exactly is going on with Tati and KJ? It'll be time-stamped. Kevin Kimball said, just wanted to say congrats while you were live. Binging WandaVision, and I didn't want to stop, so I'm going to watch this back on the replay. I mean, I don't blame you. See you on Friday. Thank you. And Gutter Star said, tomorrow's your birthday. We got that. Perfect. Matt Bond said, use the fork, Luke. Use the fork. I mean, it's a good way to do it. I love the force. Cooney said, congratulations on 100K. Okay, I think we got caught up. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody. And Ocean Silhouette. All this talk of purple hair has me inspired. So I bought Overtone. Congratulations on 100K. Look, y'all in the chat, if you are going to dye your hair, please tag me on social so I can celebrate with you. I would do rainbow hair. I would absolutely do rainbow hair. I would do rainbow hair. Can you do oil slick hair? I mean, I would do that, but rainbow hair seems like a good call. So yes, perfect. All right. We need to get on to court of public opinion. Y'all have asked amazing questions. I love you guys for that. Will I take you on the coloring adventure? Yes, I am going to share it on social media, and I'll probably do a couple of YouTube shorts. So I will absolutely do it. Question: is there a limited number of tolls that can be filed? No, it's an agreement. And I don't know how long that agreement is. I think we have the only statements we're going to have on this. It depends how long the agreement is. But if the goal is for the parties to resolve, the parties can sign those agreements and say, no, we're tolling the statute. So it is for whom the bell tolls, time marches on. Yes, it can toll. And those are agreements they sign. It's essentially saying, please don't refile this suit in court. We will allow the statute of limitations to not expire. Nikki Mick, I don't know about that. I really like my hair. I don't know if I'm ready for a shaved head. I don't know. I just got it this long. Like, my hair was short forever, and it took a while to get it to the length it's at. So I don't know about shaved head. I don't know. But I am definitely willing to go rainbow. You will see, Katya, you will see what color purple on Friday. I am going to talk about Jeff Wittick to Thursday during the members only live stream. He keeps releasing more information, and so I'm kind of waiting till his series ends. I don't think there's any legal action happening though, so that's what it is. That's what it is for sure. All right. I'm going to try not to miss these last few super chats, and then we will get on. Nope. Ninja said, I vote rainbow hair at a mill. All right. Suspect it'll be next year. I mean, it'll be a while, I think. Lighthearted question. Will you celebrate with a full head of purple hair or just highlights? Oh, we're going all purple. We're going all purple. We are going full purple, all purple. And yes, there will be some different tones of purple in there for sure. We are doing it. Brad Mondo collab. Not this time, but you never know what the future may bring. Oil slick hair is stunning. Okay, y'all are going to send me to Pinterest after this live stream. Black to purple and blue to green and black and back to black. I will definitely take a look at it because that sounds amazing. Boxy, I will get the pictures. I have not been through all my Insta DMs. Yesterday was busy, but I will get to them. So, all right. We've got to get to a court of public opinion. Yes, we will talk about the H3 podcast. All right, let's get to court of public opinion. And then I am going to wrap up. We have lots to talk about this week. Yes, I'm going to pull the H3 podcast. I will probably do, if it's helpful to y'all, here's the thing. If I do a YouTube short on it and y'all don't watch it, I'm not doing it anymore. Shorts are hard. It's hard to condense. It's hard to condense into a minute, but I'll take a look and do a YouTube short on it. And then I'll cover it on Friday in depth. So that's what we'll do. I'll give you my thoughts. And then we'll go from there. Lisa, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. You guys are a blessing to me. So I appreciate you. Look up Guy Tang's channel to see oil slick hair. I will. I mean, of course I'll YouTube it. I've been YouTubing purses too. Of course I'll YouTube it. Another creator destroyed her hair dyeing it purple. Please, please, please be careful with your beautiful hair. I am going to a salon. I am trusting my people. I am not doing things myself. I'm also not bleaching it. So there's that. Jake's Baby Cakes. I will have to have this. I will have to think it through because I only tattoo in Vegas. So I will have to think through what I will do at 200. We will figure it out. But I'm going to keep answering questions, but we have to get to court of public opinion. I need to pull up my community tab, and I thought I had it up and I didn't. So I'm going back to pull that up right now because we need to look at these votes to get us down to the final two. The final two. The runoff. The last two standing in our court of public opinion with the worst YouTube apologies. The worst YouTube apologies ever. Well, up until we started this poll in April 2021, because there's been more since then, and isn't that sad? All right, let's go ahead and look at these polls. I'm going to pull this up, and then I'll go and pull up Twitter. So final four, round one and round two. Shane Dawson just crushed Olivia Jade. I think it was the manipulation for everybody. I think that's what it was. With over 12,000 votes, Shane Dawson coming in at 82%. James Charles at 78% over David Dobrik's 22%. Now, I think with this, a lot of it was just the manipulation. It was hard. Dobrik was like disingenuous and bordered on fake crying totally, but James yelled at us for making him look bad. Yeah, James lectured everybody in his apology. He was like, meh. The fact that Jeffrey isn't in the final four is upsetting. His apologies are the worst because they're the most insincere. And we'll look at the bracketing because the bracketing has to do with that. So this is tough. They're both problematic. They are both problematic. We were only judging the apologies, not the underlying behavior, because that's a whole nother thing. So we were just going through worst, and it was hard. Dane said, this is like picking which child I love more. I don't know if I can. They're both so awful. It's impossible to select one of these. These were hard. Dobrik's apology was smart strategically, says Alpho, well worded, and can be said to have the appearance of sincerity. He still sucks, but he's naturally good at navigating internet scandal. It's how he got away with stuff so long. James, on the other hand, got lucky the first time. I mean, yeah, his is terrible. I feel like James's is the most absurd apology and David's is the most damage control apology. I agree with that. Absolutely 100%. I agree with all of that. I agree with that entirely. Let's click over and see how the Twitter poll did. I just want to make sure I had that pulled up. And it was about the same percentages. James Charles smashed Dobrik's apology at almost 80% with over 900 votes. And Shane Dawson smashed with, again, over 900 votes. So we have come to the end. Nope, that's the wrong tab. We've come to the end. It's the end of the bracket as we know it. And I feel slightly dirty after talking about all of these disgusting apology videos that I kind of hate, but I went through and watched them all anyway because I wanted to do my own bracket and I didn't remember all of them anyway. And we've come to Shane Dawson and James Charles. See, the thing is that Jeffree Star got knocked out by Dobrik because Dobrik's was so bad. This was a tough bracket on this side. This bracket had Gabby, Tati, James, Dr. Mike, David Dobrik, Jaclyn Hill, and Jeffree Star. This was a tough bracket. On this side, you had Jenna Marbles, whose wasn't really horrible, and you had Manny MUA's, who wasn't really horrible. Then you had Laura Lee's that was like so bad that it's almost comical, but she's actually grown since then. So if you look at it in hindsight, it's like, yeah, it was bad, but it wasn't as manipulative as the others. It was just bad. Tana Mojo's was terrible. Logan Paul's was not as bad as Tana's, which everybody saw. Scotty Sires wasn't even really an apology. So I think the left side of the bracket had a little bit of an easier go than the right side of a bracket. And if the brackets had shuffled out differently, we might have gotten a different result. But we are down to Shane Dawson and James Charles. So we're back to the question, how do we determine bad? I'm going to put these polls up. We're going to rule on one to rule them all for the court of public opinion on Friday. So I'm going to put up the polls. I'm going to put it up on Twitter and the community tab. And we're going to see. I mean, these are both bad. I have a playlist on my channel if you want to go and see these. So if you want to go and rewatch them, I have them both up. So yeah, you can go rewatch and then vote. Shane's and James's are both, I feel, and I don't want to sway voting. I felt that they were both manipulative. So I don't know which one is worse for me. I'm going to go back and rewatch them because I don't know. I don't know which one's worse to me. I'm going to have to go rewatch them. So can we just call it a tie? It's too hard. No, we're putting it to a vote. Bedazzled, you do raise an excellent point. These are both bad apologies, and these are both repeat apology offenders, and repeat offenders in more ways than one. And the thing that's hard here is we are not judging the underlying behavior because, you know, we're not saying which underlying shitty behavior is worse because I don't know if we can judge that. All the behavior is gross, and I don't know if we need to just do. I don't think we need to do that. We're not doing that. But which apology is worse is going to come down to audience manipulation, blaming, the fakeness, all of that. So that's what we're going to do. Liz A said, I vote to watch Observed body reading of each of them. It's a great idea. Observed does a fantastic job doing the body language breakdown. And now that so much of court is online, I wonder if they would ever do some of the court things, but those kind of move fast. So maybe not. So yeah, I think so. Cosmic Slice, I never want to watch any of these two ever again. I mean, it's fair. I think we'll probably see James back on the interwebs before we'll see Shane. That's just my thought. What do you guys think? Who do you think out of these final two, who do you think comes back to the internet first? And I guess that's not fair because Shane's been off for so long. Who takes the longer break, James or Shane? I think that's a fair way to ask because technically Shane could come back first, but have taken a longer break because he stepped away maybe when James should have stepped away. So who takes the shorter break from the internet, James or Shane? James. Yeah, we don't think, it looks like the Law Nerds don't think Shane fair. The Law Nerds don't think that James is going to take as long of a break. Shane is slowly coming back. He is, but I think his break will be longer because if James might stay away for another 6 months. We just don't know. Shane, James. Oh, we're getting back into a toss-up. Shane will have taken a longer break since he's been gone since last fall. It's fair, but we also don't know how long James will take off. James, because it's never his fault. It's true. He was lied to by everyone. James is going to take the shorter break. Shane never took a full break. I mean, Alicia, he took a full break from YouTube. Maybe we should narrow the question to YouTube and not social media in general. But then again, he has been editing videos and kind of YouTubing through Ryland. So maybe the Puppet Master style of Shane, doing Ryland's channel is going to be the thing. He's not on YouTube, but he's on YouTube through Ryland, where James doesn't really have that opportunity. And I really wonder if the James Charles employment lawsuit coming to light will push him to stay quiet longer, because he has a reason to stay quiet. And if he stays quiet longer, he can avoid that too. So it might push him to do that. Shane is coming back right now, according to Angelica Oles. Isn't Shane older than James? Shane is older than James. I've been hearing rumblings that Shane has been finishing up whatever project it is that he's coming out with. So we'll see. But he has been gone for quite a while. Neither of them can monetize, so there's little motivation to come back. I wonder if Shane's channel is still demonetized. I don't know. I think Shane is done. Nolita, I have heard that whatever this project is that he's been working on, the one that Trisha Paytas leaked, is going to be released. So he's going to come back to YouTube. We'll see him on YouTube, but we'll see. Kelly Byer said, I agree with Peter Mom when he says Shane wants to come back. He just can't figure out how to deal with his reputation. I mean, he's going to have to figure it out. He's going to have to figure it out, because he's going to have to figure it out if he wants to come back. Because I don't think he's just going to be able to come back and just be like, hey, everybody, I'm back. I don't think that's going to work. No, Shane's channel is back up so he could post again. I thought so. I thought it was a temporary demonetization. Shane's YouTube channel is still monetized according to Social Blade. I didn't know Social Blade said that. Oh, this is also fair. I think Shane's Shane Glosson channel is monetized again. And Lauren Joe, I think he'll probably stay on the Shane Glosson channel, the one that was supposed to be about makeup. Well, it's never about makeup. So I think we'll see it. Raoul's Corner said he's always had the worst reputation and he doesn't care. I mean, Shane, I think Shane cares about what his audience thinks of him. And I think he cares more about the numbers, my speculation. And so it's not necessarily he's worried about his reputation. I think he's more worried about not getting views and trying to use his husband or fiance. I'm not sure if Shane and Ryland are married yet, but use his husband or fiance's channel to kind of dip his toe in the water and see if he'll be able to get views. I think he's more worried about putting up a video and having it not get any views and being embarrassed. That's what I'm worried about. He still has 20 million subscribers, and there's that. And he's probably still making money on people watching back videos. I don't know how many views he's getting a month, but he's probably still getting millions of views a month. And I just don't know what his monthly views are, but it might be that he comes back and everybody gets that bell notification and is like, ooh, you're back, and then unsubscribes, because people might have forgotten to unsubscribe. I mean, YouTube unsubscribes y'all from me. Don't forget to check and make sure you're still subscribed. But people might see the notification, be waiting to see what he was coming back with, and then unsubscribe. We'll see. YouTube's a very interesting place. I don't know who Jimmy Chuck is. What? It's like Jimmy Crack Corn. Is that James Charles? Is that JC? Is that what we're saying? I hope so. Oh, thank you. See, we're on the same page. I think he cares about being embarrassed by views. James's style of social media is not special. So if he leaves, he can be replaced with somebody else, and probably would, Nick. James can't be away for too long, but Shane brings something different. His return will be successful. We'll see. I think he doesn't need to worry about the money as much as maybe James does. But we'll see. I mean, we definitely saw Shane make a ton of money with that conspiracy palette. And if he's still pulling views, depending on how many views he's getting a month, he's probably still doing pretty well. So we'll see. YouTube, I love this platform. But again, I said it, I think in a Clubhouse room when I was talking with the insider team about digital culture and influencers. YouTube is a great platform. I love being on YouTube. Obviously, I'm geeked about being on YouTube. I think it's a great platform, but it's also given this like DIY access to being a celebrity. And it's not the same as when you come up through the ranks of a movie that hits or something. It's a different process to becoming known and having millions and tens of millions of followers. And I think the younger an influencer is, the more that is to deal with. But with this DIY celebrity, you also don't get the bumpers that you would get in other more traditional forms of media, in in movies and television and what have you. You have union and agencies and production companies and networks. You have people kind of giving you the boundaries, whether right or wrong, whether the ones you want or not. You have external boundaries, and generally at least an agent and a lawyer. There are these external things. With YouTube, there's no external unless you put it into place yourself. That is my doorbell. Hold on. We're gonna see what the doorbell has to say, because now I'm curious. Ugh. Nope, my window's open. Oh, I have no idea who that is. My husband can deal with it. Hopefully, husband will deal with it. I was hoping it was like FedEx, and I could be like, just leave it at the door, but no. So what was I gonna say? YouTube. I mean, YouTube definitely has. Well, so does all social media, has its toxic aspects. I think you can get rid of the toxicity of YouTube by who you choose to follow. Because I definitely don't feel that my YouTube is toxic. I have curated who I watch, though. So that's how I feel about it. But what I was saying is that, with this DIY celebrity, you don't have the bumpers that you normally have. And that is a very difficult thing for some to deal with. And they definitely get themselves into behaviors that they might not have otherwise been able to get away with. And that's not a good thing. And we see that amplifying who people are. For better or for worse, we definitely see it amplifying who people are. I love Casey Neistat. I love watching his videos. So for sure. All right, you guys, it is time. It is time to wrap up. We have talked all of the things. This is probably, I mentioned that indictment and I pulled it up, so we're probably already restricted, but we'll go in and take care of it. Thank you for being here. Oh, you guys are so great. I appreciate you, Law Nerds. If you want to become a channel member, you can do it on the channel or at lawnerdsunite.com. It will get you there, so you can join the channel and join our members only live stream Thursday. If you become a member, you'll have access to the previous members only live streams if you want to watch those. I did do a live reacts. To James Charles's apology video. So if you want to watch that, that's still up there in the members only live chat from last month. Yeah. So that will be a live stream for just the members on Thursday. Friday, we will be back for Friday Night Live. I will probably put up some YouTube shorts. You guys seem to have been enjoying them. YouTube seems to have been enjoying them. I'll do a quick thoughts on the H3 suit, and I'll do some quick thoughts tomorrow on the Duggar case. The bail bond hearing. And we'll go from there. So, you guys, it is the end. Justin King, you sent a super chat. It didn't even populate on my end. Hold on. I'll look at the back. I'll find it. Yep. Not populated on my end. Did I miss it when I tried to answer the door? Possibly. All right. Let me look real quick and then we will wrap it up. Welcome, new channel members. Thank you. Let me see. All right. Let me refresh this. I try not to miss them. Sometimes they get missed. Sometimes they do. Justin said, do you think Tati and James will refile elsewhere for the defamation suit? They deserve justice. I miss it. If you already answered me, love you. Thank you, Justin. I talked about that all at the beginning of this. It looks like they are in settlement negotiations. So if they're in settlement negotiations, no. But if there's not, then no. Shane is back. I mean, is there a video today, Sherry, or are we just talking about in general being on Ryland's channel. Also, will there be a Friday Night Live? Yes. This Friday, there will be a Friday Night Live. It is birthday Friday Night Live. I am going to do a fundraiser for Birthday Friday Night Live. I'm going to do it through YouTube instead of me donating the super chats where YouTube takes 30%. And I am going to be announcing what charity we're doing it for. I am looking for something that is related to the topics we've been talking about, which has been way too much SA and CP. So I will let you know what charity we will be doing a charity stream for on Friday, because it's a good way to celebrate. And it's a good way that our community can bond together and do some good. I was blown away by the Law Nerd generosity for the last charity stream that we did. And there's no better way to celebrate my birthday than us getting together, doing some quick law stuff, having some drinks for me. Well, y'all are welcome to too. I'm bringing the champs. I'm bringing the fancy champs. Having some drinks, having some fun, and getting to do some good together, because we brought together so much money for the Community Resource Center here in Nashville after the bombing in downtown Nashville. I really look forward to doing that again. Vaughn, I'm going to make sure that I can do that through YouTube before I announce it. So I will be announcing it for sure. And once I have one, we will be announcing it. So we're going to do regular time on Friday. So 7 p.m., my kids are going to swimming. My husband and I are celebrating birthday and Mother's Day for me on Saturday. So we're doing it. We're doing the thing. I will let you know what charity we're doing the stream for on Friday so we can promote it. The reason I need to double check, because YouTube allows for giving drives, but it has to be a charity that they're already partnered with. And I want to do my research on that. So I will see you Friday at 7 p.m. Central. If you are a channel member, I will see you Thursday at 7 p.m. Central. We're going to have a great week. You guys have a great week. We're at 101,000. What is even happening, you guys? The Law Nerds are going to take over, and I'm here for it. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a Law Nerd. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you on Friday. Connect with me everywhere. I'm at the Emily D. Baker. If you guys want to join the text, just text Emily.com. If you want to join the channel, LawNerdsUnite.com. Happy to have you. Support what we do here on the YouTube